but it was sad today that we can't be at the Amex. It's actually a great place to go and watch football. However, Graham Potter and his players put on a show. Their first win in 2020, well deserved as well, and a big moment on their step to making sure they don't get relegated from the Premier League. But what of Arsenal? Today it's exactly 6 months since Mikel Arteta got the job. In that time, they've played 12 Premier League games. They've only won 4. He's with Lindsay.
Mikel, is that a tough defeat to take? What was your verdict on the result and the performance?
Very difficult one to take because it's unacceptable the way we lost the game.
What cost you today?
The fact that we missed so many chances, the fact that we gave them the first goal and we didn't compete in the second goal.
And I know before the game you spoke about no more accidents, no more injuries, and unfortunately you lost Bernd Leno to what looked like a bad injury. Do you have an update on how he is?
He doesn't look good, but we don't know anything yet.
And Neil Maupay told me he came to apologise to you at half-time. I know that Ben sort of pointed the finger at him when he went off on the stretcher. Did you feel that was justified?
I don't know, it's too far from me. I haven't seen the actions again, but I always believe that players never have the intention to hurt anybody, and I'm sure he didn't have the intention to do that.
And what happened with the substitution? You looked very unhappy on the touchline. It looked like you wanted to bring Tierney on at the same time as Nketiah. What happened there?
Nothing. That we asked the fourth official to make 2 substitutions. He didn't get it, or he understood something different, and we couldn't do them.
How are you going to lift things going forward now? It's 2 defeats since the restart. What will you be focusing on in the next week?
Just to try to lift the players. Is a lot of things that they've done really well, but we don't compete. At this level, you cannot give the goals that we give away. It's impossible. I know that we are a very, very young team, but in the Premier League, you make 2 mistakes like this is goals, and we can accept that.
And
Angry. Listen, for a manager to come out and say that his team aren't competing, he's got to be the state of mind there is pure anger, and he's going to want to find answers for them teams, from individuals, definitely, and he's going to be pressurising these players, I'm sure, through this next couple of weeks, because 2 games come out of this period that we've been in of lockdown, and you expect your team to come out at minimum fighting, showing that character, showing that drive, that determination to go and get a result, and it's a team that have come out almost, they look flatlined. They haven't been able to get themselves going. They haven't been able to get themselves into a game even. And today, I mean, the way that the second goal that Brighton scored was a fantastic goal, but you would expect, as he said, his team to be able to compete and maybe put himself in the way to stop these shots going in.
There are probably bigger long-term issues to be sorted out at Arsenal, Peter, but in the short term, he needs to win some football matches and get them up the table before the end of the season. What does he need to do on the field in the short term to sort things out?
He did. I thought that was a fantastic interview. I thought, he could quite easily, we've seen managers previously make excuses for their teams and perhaps do it behind closed doors, but he's come out, he's spoken really open, honestly there, saying that they're not competing. That's not God's honest truth. I mentioned obviously the short corner. I mean, you learn that in the youth team. So yeah, I think, he's got a lot of things that need to be addressed.
Yeah, sorry, we're struggling to hear you. I don't know what you've done there, but you sound like Darth Vader all of a sudden, Peter.
That was top-class analysis as well.
It was top-class analysis. It was top-class analysis. Right, so Peter, I think, was talking about issues on the football field. What about off it? Because you've got high-earning players who aren't involved. You've got young players who look like they're running their contract down. You've got a fan base that doesn't understand what the long-term plan is at this football club.
I think there's a massive reshuffling of the pack. I think we knew that before he got there. I think he'll be even more aware now, given the performances of some individuals. And I think the bigger, surprise for him, from reading between the lines, is the application around a training field is then going to be replicated out on the pitch, and he's not seeing what he wants to see. And I think there's going to be big changes there. If he's given a checkbook to open a little bit then to be able to splash some cash, but also get some players out, big players on big money that aren't suited to what he wants and what his desires are for this football club, he's going to have to move people. But I think Graham Potter needs credit. Some positive substitutions, got his team, character was shown in his team, desire, and a great result.
Come on, you know what? That suddenly puts so much pressure, doesn't it, on the other teams down there towards the Premier League. Back with us here on BT Sport. We've brought you 2 games today back to back, and in those games, 3 times we've seen a goal scored in the 90th minute or later. So let's get into the goals from this one with both Peter and Rio. And I think we should start with the winner. And obviously there's loads of focus on the goal scorer and the goal itself, but what about the touch from Connolly?
Oh, great touch. This was like Cole and York-esque. This was beautiful forward play. 2 strikers on the same wavelength. Over, defender, bamboozled. Mustafi can't even get near him. Beautiful bit of skill. This isn't about pace. It's about movement. It's about timing. It's about knowing where your partner is. Touch, timing. Great finish. Exquisite.
Finish was really good, Peter.
Yeah, this is what you learn as a kid. You know, like two forwards playing in tandem together. It was just like the little over. It's something you learn. There's not so many partnerships these days, but you work on that as a kid. Like when I was growing up, it was all about partnerships, 2 up front, and the little over, the fantastic touch, and what a finish from Malpai as well. It was a brilliant goal. That
you just don't see them as much anymore, do you? How many times do you look at a team sheet, particularly for a Premier League game, and see one striker, one up top, or a front 3? But that sort of partnership thing is just so rare now.
Well, I grew up with it. That's what I grew up with. It was always sort of like a big man and a little man. Always the big man. Usually the little man would go over the ball, and I'd be the Connolly in that situation, playing it back into, say, a Defoe or a Mikel Owen or someone like that. It's movement that you don't see much of anymore, but it was so important to me growing up, and it was great to see that kind of finish.
A huge result as well for Brighton. It's one of those ones where it's not just about the 3 points, it's about the fact that they've finally put to bed this rotten run where they haven't won in 2020, but winning so late on against big opposition is key, especially with the games they've got coming up.
Yeah, all of them points are massive. I think Marpai said in his interview straight away, first win of the year, and it's a massive result, what it means to them. Also beating Arsenal, a big team, knowing that they've got big teams coming down the line here as well. What that'll do for them in terms of their mental state will be fantastic, and takes a little bit of the pressure off, by the way, going into them games. So I'm sure the bigger teams would have been sitting there thinking, wow, actually we've got to take Brighton a little bit more seriously maybe than we was thinking before coming here.
Look, Peter, you know what it's like, playing in teams that are struggling down the bottom there. You've been in that position where you pick up late wins and important wins. How much do you think that's going to do for Brighton? It gives them a 5-point cushion now.
No, that's absolutely huge. I mean, that's Arsenal. It's a top 4 side traditionally, and they've gone and beaten them there. It's an amazing result, and that'll lift them no end. With Arsenal, obviously, I wanted to sit here and say it's slightly better than midweek, but I mean to lose again, it's embarrassing. You got to remember this is Arsenal, and they're losing to a team like Brighton, who are fighting against relegation, and there's a lot of questions to be asked there, I think.
Well, it's far too early for us to sit here and assess the tenure of Mikel Arteta, because he's been there for 6 months. 3 of them have been during a shutdown, and it's not his own team. He brought in a couple of loanees in January, but I do think the general forward momentum of Arsenal as a football club is something that we can talk about, and how worried you both are about that.
Yeah, I think that the recruitment needs looking at, definitely. I think they're working on that. They've got people in place. But it's just, you look there, are they the right characters? Is that a team that you see that when they're in the trenches, you'd want to be amongst that lot to go and fight for a result? You need a result. We said 8 cup finals towards the end of the season to get a respectable position for Arsenal Football Club. I don't feel that. It's going to be very difficult. Mikel Arteta and his staff, you can see there's a freshness within that, and he's got his ideas and his philosophy that he wants to implement to this team. But I think we need to give him time to actually go and get into the transfer market and get some players who he would see as would mirror his philosophy and be able to, in terms of not just the way he wants to play, but also as personalities as well and characters. You need characters in these type of situations. You want to galvanise a football club. It's not just about football ability sometimes. All them players on that team in the Arsenal squad have got a good, if not above level of quality as football player in terms of passing the ball, technical ability. It's the character that sets them apart as well. You need good, big, strong characters, and they're lacking that.
We can see them taking the lead here, Peter. Obviously, this is going to be a big blow for them, because they've now played 2 games since the restart. Haven't won either of them. 2 defeats.
Yeah, it's a huge blow. And you see the quality of the players they have up front. I mean, Pepe, what a finish this is. He's going to cut in on his left. I know Rio He'll have to talk you through this because the defending's not good enough. But from an attacking point of view, what a finish, cutting inside on the left-hand side.
Where that arrow was going, the fullback's got a shame onto his right foot. You know about players like Robin. I know it's hard sometimes, they're left-footed, these wonder wingers sometimes, but you got to know your players. Do your research. Where's he want to come back onto, Pepe? He wants to be on his left foot. He's going to come back. The young fullback's got to show him the line and say, right, cross it. Then the law of it, we've got players in there who can defend it, and it's another chance for us to defend the ball, but he didn't do that, and it's a fantastic finish. Here, the defending here from Arsenal's point of view, very slack. One player goes out to play against two there, we see it straight away. You've got to get people out. Saka at the back, a bit laboured, he's got to get out in line with the defending line here. In the end, it's a very good ball, but Lacazette's got to get out there and be brave and defend the cross properly. Hands behind the back. I don't like defending like that in the box. Go out there, full-bodied, and Dunk puts his body on the line, gets the final touch and gets over the line. But I'm sure Mikel Arteta would look at that and think from a set-piece perspective, we've got to do better than that.
And it proved so costly to be a goal up at that time, Peter.
Yeah, unfortunately with that is that it's schoolboy stuff, unfortunately. Lacazette needs to come out. I mean, you always need 2v2. You can't leave them 2v1 on a short corner like that. And listen, Dunk's done very well and deserves the goal.
All right.
I think so, yeah, because they've got everyone back there and no one's come out, no one's looking at the ball and no one's even come out to help. You know, to be able to get the ball and drive towards the goal on the byline the way that he has and cross a ball, unforgivable.
OK, let's get some post-match reaction. Here is Brighton's goal-scoring hero, Neil Maupay.
Neil, a huge goal for you at the end. Congratulations there. Talk us through the finish.
Thank you. I mean, it's a great ball from Alexis McAllister. So I left the ball for Aaron. Great pass. I mean, I just saw the keeper coming for me and I just shoot with my left. It's a goal. I'm so happy because it's our first win. This new.
And what about the overall performance today? It's the first Premier League game here since the 29th of February. How did you find it out there?
I mean, it's been a crazy time. It's been really hard for us because we didn't know when we were going to play again. So it's been long, but we've been training really, really hard. I mean, the mindset throughout the team is really good. We kept together, keep working, believing in each other. I mean, the whole club, manager and the whole staff made a very good job to try to put us in the best place. It's been really hard because it's hard. First game in 3 months. It's been really, really a tough game, but we are really happy to get the win.
Neil Maupay there, who's clearly made a telling contribution for Brighton today. Steve, you were telling me he likes to play on the line.
Yeah, he's a player that wants to play on the edge, ruffles feathers, you know, gets the most out of his opposition. You know, you can see there he speaks with a bit of passion, sometimes too much passion and emotion, which I'm sure will come out maybe in a few interviews as we go along. But listen, that goal there, fantastic goal.
But what will that do to the Brighton dressing room now?
Oh, it will lift it massive. You know, we've said they earmarked a few home games to try and get points on the board. What they need now, maybe two wins, maybe 2 wins and a draw out the remaining 8 games. You know, it's a huge 3 points.